always unmute pretty frequently.
Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna ask, like, when you take your third, which one do you take on this map?
Up to you. Normally I'd take the one below the main base as Terran, just because you can build your third CC right on the high ground next to it, float it down really quickly, and that's really nice. All right, that barracks, yep, that's all right, looking good. Get that gas down immediately, very nice.
You SCV scout. I like to.
Yeah, you don't need to do it early, so you can do it later than this. You can do it with your barracks SCV in future.
Already, but...
That's all right. Next time and going forward, we'll get used to barracks SCV can scout, because you just need to check if it's pull first, right? Because if it's pull before hatch, your Reaper needs to stay at home.
Okay.
Because the Zerglings can run around the map.
If it's the Ravager cheese though, if you use your barracks SCV, will it scout it in time?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
I only die to that when I mess up my micro really bad, let my bunker die.
So if I see the hatch is not finished, do I even need to go up the ramp? I mean, I know he's probably only got one gas. It's like gas hatch pull, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you scout as early as you did, you should. Oh, get that command center down. Your SCV, you didn't rally it properly.
Yeah.
I personally, with the barracks scout, I literally just check the hatchery timing, and it should normally with the barracks scout timing, it should be fine. So your Reaper can go straight across the map.
Really?
Yeah, because you saw it was hatchery first. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was okay. Yeah. I still don't know how to read the builds.
You gotta get that second depot going. Really important to get that down right now.
Okay.
Remember, it's always, and then you gotta, it's never as important to start like the factory immediately on time, because that'll be done well before you need your starport to actually start. Very important to get that second barracks and that second depot started on time there. Let's micro that Reaper.
So what am I trying to do with the Reaper? Like, just...
If you can pick off a drone or kill a Zergling or two, that's great. Otherwise, you just literally just check the third base with him. You don't want to be queuing him in until you've got time with your APM, right? So you want to focus on doing your macro, number one. Get the tech lab at home. Queue up another 2 Marines on the reactor. You can rally all your SCVs to your natural now and start your orbital command. And then you say, you know what? I got a few seconds. Let's get that Reaper to go check. The normal third base location is to the north for Zerg. So that's where you want to be checking.
Add-on is done. Doesn't that look
and let's
fancy?
get that. Now, stim should always go down before the starport. Yeah, so it doesn't matter too much here. Just get the stim started now. Like, it won't ruin your day, but you always do want to start stim, then starport. That's the order. So this is why I said the factory being done, it's like not actually that important. Even pros will normally start it on time, but they don't even start the starport when the factory finishes. So for now, let's keep these Marines going as you get, good depot timing. Very nice. Let's keep dropping mules, building SCVs. You've seen the third base. So your Reaper, what you want to do is you want to send that either home, or you can sacrifice it into his main base just to check what he's doing, make sure there's no like Roach all-in or Lingbane all-in coming. And usually you would do this, like especially if you see no third base, you'd like do that to see is it fast 2-base lair, what's going on. More Marines.
Or the third refinery.
You don't need the third refinery too fast with the way you're doing this build. Yeah. All right. Yep. Keep building those Marines. Keep building those depots as well at your natural.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Because you are, you power up that production with the double medevacs. You do need a second depot building at the same time, which is pretty good.
So I just saw a bunch of lings at my front door.
Oh, your Marines are on patrol. Really bad. Get them back together. Your units also aren't hotkeyed right now, which is really terrible. Got to make sure you always have those units hotkeyed, and they should have been on your ramp for safety. Out in the open like that, he runs into a bunch of lings, ravages, Lingbane. You're just going to get killed for free.
So I need a fast third, right?
Yep. So you want to drop that third command center, and immediately after the third CC, you want to take a third gas. And then double eBay when you have money. But let's move out with these 2 medevacs. Super important always to be pushing across with those.
Where should I go?
You should always just go towards their third base. So you should just drop at the watchtower and then just kind of poke forward from there. And remember, you don't want to be looking at those medevacs until they get there. So let's get combat shields. Yep, very nice. You do need 1 Widow Mine and more Marines.
Okay.
You got to put guys on gas on your natural. You've got that double engineering bay on the way, which is great. You do need more depots building at your natural, so just keeping all your macro kind of gears rolling. And this is where you want to say to yourself, okay, let's drop 3 more barracks. Because you're floating money, you're already a bit late with your pressure with the medevacs. Let's just focus on the macro for this game and make sure that's really clean. And then before you go in, you want to say, okay, let's queue up 1 or 2 more depots. Let's queue up lots of units. Let's queue up our double upgrades. Basically, do all your macro tasks in quick succession so that you can focus on your Marines at the front and you can kind of go in, say, I've got 20, 30 seconds to just stare at my Marines where I don't need to look at everything else. So let's get those Marines to go in. You got to use those Marines. You know, the moment you've got spare APM, don't be wasting it on a random Reaper. As the game goes more and more, you know, your APM becomes more and more valuable. So let's run in, see if we can get some damage. Be ready to pick up, because you don't know what you're walking into. Oh, a little bit sloppy on the pickup micro there. That's okay. Stop staring at the drop.
Okay, okay.
Research is done.
It's always that thing, you know, you stare at it the moment you have to pick up, you want to be like mentally prepared. Like you should have had the medevacs already flying over the Marines to be ready, assuming you were going to have to pick up and get out of there. And what we can do now is, you know, your third's about to lift, so you can already lower the depots. You can send your SCVs down to your third, set your rally points there, move your army out. Just start establishing that third, and behind it you should be dropping an armory and just non-stop producing units.
Shit.
Add-on complete.
Oh, this is bad.
Add-on is done. Doesn't that look fancy? Those explosions you hear?
You've frozen up on your production here. No need to do that. Keep building units. You got to just focus on micro and unit production right now.
I remember when your SCVs carve mine when they're dead. Your SCVs are being harassed. It's ruining workplace morale. You just upgraded your SCV rating.
So bad.
Alright, you gotta focus on your micro, remember. Micro is the most important thing with Bio. More important than anything else. Your main base, there's a single Zergling in that mineral line.
Did I lose like all my SCVs? Oh shit, I did. Yeah. Fuck. Well, this is game over.
Yeah.
Well.
That's fine.
Fuck it. This is waste of time.
See, so there's a ton of things to do, so it is a little bit awkward with me talking in your ear, but it's also because we're doing something new as well. So we expect this to happen the first game. That's fine. So next time around we'll rewind immediately, but this time we'll just exit out and hop into another, get into the next game as quickly as possible. All right, so build order was quite okay. We just need to get those double medevacs going across the map first. So we learned something there. Stim always should be happening before the factory, the starport goes down. That would have just made that a little bit tighter. As soon as those medevacs get out, you know, you should be picking those up and going across the map. I noticed you weren't hotkeying the Marines. Your Reaper was on your main army hotkey that like entire time. Reaper can keep a hotkey, but he should be moving down the order, right? Down to one of your like second or third hotkeys, right? Your Marines were kind of just spilling out front your natural, and then you patrolled the Marines. Do you patrol a lot? What was that about?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's not a good idea, huh? Or not a good habit.
Is that like just to get the kind of automatic split going on the Marines, or?
No, I don't think I have any good reasoning behind it, other than maybe I've seen people use patrol.
Pretty much the only time you want to use patrol is just to like intercept drops, like a Viking or a few Marines on the edge of your base, that sort of thing. Other than that, there's almost no reason to use patrol. It's also way on the right hand side of your keyboard, so it's just an awkward hotkey. Yeah, you really want to...
I put it on W anyway, so...
Oh, okay, cool. That is more accessible. That's cool. Yeah, in Brood War, there was a reason to use it. There isn't really in StarCraft 2. Because in Brood War, it made your units attack faster than attack move. In StarCraft 2, it just... Yeah, there's no real function to it.
Yeah? if I move out with the 2 medevacs and then he suddenly has like a bunch of Zerglings at my natural, I mean.
Yeah,
Still...
so this is why it's nice to push out with your Marines first, right? Like the medevacs are about to come out, push out front your natural to kill the Overlord on the high ground, right? So he at least doesn't see you moving out, or like you are clearing the area in front of your base, and then you want to be walling your natural immediately behind it. So whether your depot wall won't really be done, so maybe you put your 3rd CC in your natural wall. Maybe that makes things simpler for you.
Okay.
Yeah. So that'll make it a little bit
okay.
cleaner there for you. We're not really focusing on getting the 3rd medevac across the map in that last game. We'll try and do that this game. Everything was okay. Everything was okay. Just needs to be a little bit tighter. So, like I said, just get those medevacs across the map. And what you really want to do is like, your aim is like, you literally just like hotkey them as the medevacs pop out, load into the medevacs, and you just boost them and tell them to go unload at his watchtower on the minimap. Like you just want to like give that order instantly, so it's just done, right? It's just like bam, go drop.
Okay.
And then what are you doing?
On the watchtower. That's a good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that way, because you don't want to waste any APM on it, right? Like this is what I'm talking about, where it's really important where you're looking, because Terran macro is fucking hard at the start of the game when you've got add-ons and everything going down. So you've got to focus on building Marines, and remember, like especially as you're arriving, you know I'm going to have to spend 20-30 seconds just watching those Marines, trying to get value, right? So you say to yourself, what do I need to do? Queue up at least 2 SCVs on each command center, queue up some extra depots, even if they're ahead of time, queue up units on all of my production, and any upgrades or anything like that I need to start. And that way...
this is as you're moving out, you say? Or like?
This is kind of as your units are arriving. Like you're already doing all these macro tasks as you're pushing out across the map, but especially like whenever you're reaching a point where you're like, oh, I want to micro those units a lot. That's when you really need to make sure you queue up extra things at home. Extra SCVs, extra Marines, extra depots, so that you're buffering yourself, knowing that you're going to, not be macroing for like 30 seconds. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Awesome.
Wow. Yeah, I always find I float minerals after like a fight. I guess this would just...
Everybody does, man. So think about it in terms of stages, right? So if you can get this build down, right, your goal is to be like, it's automatic, this like prioritization and when to queue up extra units and stuff. So you'll have like, this is how I play TvZ. Okay, it's time to focus on that drop in a few seconds. Bam, queue up extra macro. You go in, kill a few lings, you pick up, you pull back, you go back, you macro a bunch. Okay, the 3rd medevac is over there. I've queued it up to just wait outside the natural. Okay, queue up extra depots, queue up extra Marines, start those upgrades. Okay, and even if your units are just sitting there, even if you're like, well, they're ready to go in now, it's better to wait 10-15 seconds, right? Like this is why you drop at the watchtower. You don't go drop in the base, because then if you're halfway through a macro task, you've mistimed it, and you're like, fuck, I need to go look at my units. You're going to have to go look at your units, and it's going to like interrupt your macro. You're going to forget to add that upgrade later. So you want to kind of be like, all right, the drop's ready, that's ready. Quick, queue up those depots, queue up those units. And then you're like, okay, now we've got 30 seconds. You guys drop in the natural, you guys stim in the front. And you can focus on that micro for the next 30 seconds. And when that 30 seconds is done, unless you're literally in a mineral line murdering drones, unless there's something really high value going on, you basically just like pick up and leave. Because you're like, nah, I need to look back at my base, man. Like, just let's get out of here. Let's put myself in a position where even if he runs 50 billion Ling Bane towards my units, they're safe. So I don't need to get my attention pulled away from what I'm doing at home. Once you get to the later stage, you've got 3 bases established. You've got like 8 barracks. You don't really, you've got 200 supply of depots. You don't need to look back at home nearly as much. You're using most of your scans on the offensive. 90% of your focus is on the micro. That's when you can really just focus on micro and multi-prong for like a minute or 2 minutes at a time, right? Because you're doing all your macro in the late game off your hotkeys. It's just like queue up more Marines, queue up more Widow Mines, queue up more medevacs. You can do that without looking at home. So awesome, man. So what we're going to do here, focusing on getting that rhythm down a little bit. First game was pretty good. Let's see what we can do in this one.
All right.
Hopefully Kronk is there. Right. So just think through your opening, just a standard 2-1-1. Make sure you are going for a Barracks SCV Scout this time around. And we're going to make sure we go for Stim before starting the starport. Otherwise, everything was really nice.
quick question. Where do you put your fourth usually? Do you expand toward the Zerg? Like, in this position, would you go left, or would you take the base north of your natural?
I'd probably take the north one, but I guess it probably kind of depends a little bit on what the situation is. Like, if they're expanding to the gold and the top of the map, definitely I'd take the top one, because I want to be close to them, because I'm pushing that way. If they're, like, expanding both sides a bit more, and I've already denied the gold base, maybe I'd take the other one. Just whatever I feel safer with, but you might just want to say, this is the base I prefer, and I think it's a little bit preference-focused.
Okay. So I'm going to send my Barracks SCV to scout instead.
Yeah. Now, the difference with that, of course, means because that's normally your command center SCV, you'll need to queue your 19th SCV down to your natural to build that. Just a little adjustment there. And all you're looking for with that scout is if it's pool first, Reaper stays at home. How do you know that? The hatchery should be done. The hatchery should be just finished if it's hatch first. If the hatchery is not finished, then you know it's pool first.
The hatchery is not finished, it's pool first. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, so I thought, is it like the Zerg can go hatch then gas pool, or
yeah.
Gas first?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter really what the gas timing is, because all that matters to you is if it's hatch or pool, which order those two are in. So don't worry too much about the gas, because you can't read into it. It could just be a slightly faster link speed than normal. You know, it could be nothing. It could be anything. So, all right, so let's get an SCV going over to build that depot. Let's get that Reaper across the map. Should always have that Reaper rallied across the map. Every second earlier you get there is better. You've seen the hatcheries finished, so you know it's a hatch first. You know he's safe to go across. So let's keep focusing on that macro. Let's get that factory down soon, and then the second gas. And this always times out, so you get these started just before that Reaper goes in and before you have to micro it. So let's get that second gas started, keep queuing up SCVs, and then it's Reaper micro time. See if you can pick off a drone. Or just pick off a Zergling or two, whatever you want.
Add-on complete.
And that in itself is a win. Forcing a structure like that is just really nice. You can do a bit of damage, and then you can just pull back and focus on your macro. You never want to stare at it too long.
Okay. Would you, and you rally at your ramp, you said?
Yep. Your ramp, once you get a solid wall of Marines on your ramp, once you have about 8 Marines, as long as they're on hold position, Zerglings cannot break that unless they have 400 billion Zerglings. So that's actually really nice. Now remember, we need stim before starport. There's no rush on that starport. What you can use as a marker is as long as your starport starts by 3 minutes 30, your medevacs will be on time.
Okay.
That command center upgrade you ordered here.
Keep that Marine production
You
going.
start the reactor right away, right?
Yeah, yeah. Marine production's a little bit more important than the starport, but that's okay.
Okay.
Keep that SCV production going as well. You don't really want to cut your SCVs at all, and let's get those depots going at the natural, as you did in the previous game. As you get more natural, you know, with your builds, you'll find more moments to squeeze in a bit of micro, you know, to get your Reaper go over scout, all that sort of stuff. For now, it's like, hey, that's fine. You've seen a third base. You saw a few Zerglings. Standard stuff. You know, if you want to be 100% safe, your Reaper would also have, you know, checked that he's actually droning behind the third, but this is fine.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because you want to make, it could be like three base all in.
Yeah, I mean, they can just drop a third hatch, and as long as they don't drone it, like, it doesn't really mean that much. But most of the time, if they're taking a third, you're pretty safe. Now, you should have these Marines hotkeyed. Should try not to be too much of an F2 addict. This is your army, and you do need to be able to micro and hotkey those easily. Let's not get distracted by this. Just keep building SCVs, keep building depots. And remember, you want to finish that wall with the third CC. So, yeah. So that should be nice.
Well, okay. Yeah, oh, there we go.
Alright, so remember you can push out, stim those to the watchtower. Third CC.
Medevac, right?
And yeah, let's keep getting those Marine production going. One more medevac, yeah, and just lots of Marines. Looking really good so far. Remember now you want to drop a third gas immediately after your third CC on the natural.
Okay.
And you want to get that double
E
eBay started in the near
right
future.
Okay.
Yeah, just before you go in with the drop. So now it's drop micro time in just a few seconds. And queue up extra SCVs, extra Marines, because you know you're going to micro. And let's go do that micro. All right, 20, 30 seconds of just focusing on this micro. All right, so once again, we weren't flying the medevacs over our Marines ahead of time. You knew we had Ling Bane.
So how do you...
All you need to do is control click on those medevacs and move them over the Marines. You should always have them on top of the Marines because you know if you go deep like that, you're going to have to pick up at some point. So let's keep focusing on that macro now. That's fine. That medevac can just redrop somewhere else and come back in a little while. And you want to send this extra medevac across the map as well. Or multiple medevacs, however you want to do it. And you want to put these on hotkey number 2. And you want to send that to the main base, because that's the furthest possible point from where your other pressure's hitting.
So
Alright.
the main base?
Yeah, now you...
Okay.
Yeah. And remember, you don't always want to queue it to drop from your side of the map. You'd rather just sit it outside so that you can look at it and focus on it when you have the APM to. But since you're very on the edge of the main base, it's not too bad. Just getting on top of that macro, keeping up that SCV production, looking pretty good. Let's focus on that micro.
They don't go where I want them to go.
It's alright, just gonna take a little bit of practice. We'll do a little bit of micro practice towards the end. Those medevacs on the south can just go home now. And you can keep macroing, and then once you've queued up a few extra units, a few extra depots, you can focus on that micro in the main base.
Trader mine. That was awesome.
Shit happens. All right, let's get combat shield started. That's the reason those Marines got one shot there. You should have been aware of that. You should always look out for that, where that Widow Mine's going to track onto. For now, you're in full defense mode. You need to establish that third base. You need to lift that off, tell it to land. You need to Maynard all of this sick SCV count on your natural over, grab 16 SCVs and send them to your third, and just keep this production up. Armory is going down slightly late, but that's actually not too bad. And we can see we've spotted a big Ling Bane push, so you need to focus full micro, full unit production. Go, go, go. It's all about the defense, baby. You spotted him just outside your natural. He has got a massive Ling Bane army, and he's about to push you. Get those Widow Mines burrowed. Get those units all spread out as much as possible. Marauders up front. You've got to be very careful here. Alright. Finish that natural wall with depots. You need a bunker at your third. You need that 2-2 started in a moment. And just lots of marine production. And a 5th gas geyser as well. Some games you can go 4 gas for ages. With this sort of build, you're probably going to almost always be delaying that a little bit.
Shit.
Okay, you've got a ton of medevacs. You do not need any more medevacs. You've been really good on your medevac production. Marine and Widow Mine production is actually the more important thing. Much more important to have just fighting units. Good to see those 3 barracks started. Great SCVs. You got to lift that orbital though to save it.
Oh fuck. Okay, well.
That's alright.
GG's.
Don't say GG. Nope. Nope. You've been macroing 1,000 times better than you normally do. So what you're going to do is you're going to retake that base, tell the SCVs to start mining from it again. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to focus on the full offense. Non-stop building units. You're going to try and push across this map, start to clear creep, and your goal is when 2-2 finishes, that's when you're going to try and kill him. That's your goal, okay? So rebuild that third base right now. You got to get it started. You got to get that third base started. Build a bunker there. Rally your units to it, and then just send your army across the map. Right now, your army is still not hotkeyed, and this is a really bad habit. You need to have your army hotkeyed. F2 control 1 is what you need to do right now. And then you need to get your Widow Mines all on number 2 so that you can burrow them easier. You're still in a good position. You just gotta get focused on this. So remember, it's time to start pushing. You gotta get out there.
Your SCVs are being harassed. It's ruining workplace morale. The add-on is finished, so...
You gotta look around. Gotta be aware of what's going on around you. Don't tunnel vision. Where's that stim? There we go. Come on. Micro, only half your army's been fighting. Alright. You gotta counter push. Non-stop production. 2-2's almost done. Time to go kill a bitch, man. Non-stop unit production. Get those Widow Mines on hotkey number 2. And
where do you rally?
Rally to your 3rd or between your natural and 3rd. Anywhere around there where it's a strong point that can defend your bases. The time for you to start a push. You gotta get across this map. You gotta create some space for yourself and hopefully kill your opponent as well.
Fresh out of minerals at that point.
Oh, come on, micro those units. Shouldn't be fighting from the high ground yet. Just get down there. You want to be fighting him right now.
Out of minerals.
I walked into a concave. I'm an idiot. Yeah.
That's alright. The Baneling's got the connections. That army going down will unfortunately be the end of you. And that's how it goes. He had a lot of map control. That's fine. Poo-poo happens.
Yeah.
It's easy to accidentally walk into a bad fight when your opponent's been all over you for a few minutes like he was. But he actually had no creep spread and a worse work account than you. So if you killed that army, the game was yours, 100%. And you had the units to kill his army. Thinking about that last fight, how would you want to engage against a big Lingbane Hydra army off creep like that with mostly just pure bio? What sort of position do you want?
You know, I don't know. I guess my educated guess would be open ground.
Yeah, absolutely. And your units obviously kind of went in one half of the army and into the middle of a concave, right? So preferably you'd have a concave as well. You'd be spread out, right? So if you're coming in from 2 or 3 sides on that army, that's actually awesome because if you've got bio, you're actually have the mobility. You've got like this awesomeness going on. That game though, there was certain things there with the bouncing between, you know, focusing on the aggression, focusing at home, which were really good. But we want to focus a little bit on micro now. So we're going to hop into unit tester here, and there's 2 things we want to talk about. We want to talk about